Overnight, global markets and diplomacy remain dominated by the escalating Middle East conflict and its economic spillovers. Israel says it has launched extensive strikes on Iran, as the U.S. president says Washington is not ready to make a deal to end the war. The immediate global risk is energy and shipping. The Strait of Hormuz remains the key choke point, and President Trump is urging other nations to help secure passage. EU ministers are now set to discuss possible naval options, but analysts warn any coalition effort is complex and slow to stand up, while Iran's potential use of mines is being flagged as a particular vulnerability in the narrow waterway. Oil is the transmission mechanism into the global economy. Reporting suggests U.S. oil producers could see a major windfall if crude averages around $100 a barrel this year, but for most countries higher energy prices would intensify inflation pressures and complicate interest rate decisions. A strategic oil release may calm markets at the margin, but it cannot fully offset a sustained disruption through Hormuz. Separately, the war's human toll continues to mount across the region. The BBC reports on the aftermath of an Israeli strike in Lebanon that killed a family, and reports Israeli forces killed a Palestinian couple and 2 of their children in the occupied West Bank. In Iraq, the U.S. has named 6 crew killed in a refueling plane crash during a combat mission tied to operations against Iran. In Europe, Ukraine's President Zelensky has accused EU allies of blackmail in an oil pipeline dispute, arguing that restoring flows of Russian oil via Ukraine would be akin to weakening sanctions. In Africa, severe flooding in Kenya has killed at least 66 as heavy rains continue. On artificial intelligence and the broader technological revolution, there are no major, verified policy or corporate announcements in the supplied material overnight. The more immediate tech-adjacent story is how modern conflict is driving renewed focus on maritime security, surveillance, and resilience of global supply chains, with energy logistics again at the center. Turning to Australia, the international conflict is the main external variable for the domestic economy this morning. Any sustained lift in oil prices would feed quickly into petrol prices, freight costs, and inflation expectations, and could weigh on consumer sentiment already under pressure. Politically, the Sydney Morning Herald reports voter anger is rising, with One Nation's support described as real and growing, amid high inflation and spiraling petrol prices. That mood is likely to sharpen the political contest around cost of living measures and fiscal choices, including how the Australian Public Service is tasked and funded to deliver programs. In federal politics and public affairs, there is also movement at the electorate level. ABC reports Albury councillor Raisa Butkowski has been selected as the Liberal candidate for the seat of Farah. On foreign affairs and community issues, SBS reports 7 members of an Iranian football group were granted asylum in Australia, but 4 in total have now chosen to return to Iran. The Sydney Morning Herald also reports 4 more Iranian soccer players have returned home, amid fears within the Iranian diaspora about possible infiltration and further reversals. For local and community updates, emergency crews are searching by air and water for 3 missing fishermen off Beachport on South Australia's southeast coast, according to the ABC. And in lighter national news, Denmark's King Frederick and Queen Mary are continuing their Australia visit, including events in Canberra, while Japan's women's team has advanced to the Asian Cup semi-finals after a 7-0 win over the Philippines at Stadium Australia.